guys, welcome back to another episode of Love Sis. My name is Vanessa if you guys are new here, and I literally just filmed for like 5 minutes and I just went to check, and it was so excited to be doing a new episode with you guys. And I'm actually in a new little space. I feel like I've tried to elevate it, and I'm trying to look for new types of chairs. I'm actually in these new chairs, which I'm trying to see if they're too small. So I have a couple that I've ordered and I'm trying to wait for them to come in and stuff. So I also actually just recorded for like 5 minutes and it literally didn't record, so that sucked. But anyways, I was just kind of trying to update you guys. I'm just excited to be sitting here and like recording with you. I was saying how when you do podcasting, it is really like a full-time job in itself, and it takes a lot of thinking, it takes a lot of planning and requiring of like just like discipline and stuff. And I was saying how I was praying about what God wants me to do with this type of community. How does he want me to speak? Does he want me to like prepare, and like what types of topics? Because I feel like every week coming up with something new, it is a challenge, and people who do podcasting understand that, or people who speak on long-term just like YouTube or anything understand that. And I feel like my purpose with this is it has nothing to do with the platform itself. I never thought I would do podcasts. Like, I just never really cared. I never really listened to them. I was never really a person who loved podcasting or anything like that, but I do love people, and I do love using the gifts that God has given me. And honestly, I was saying before in my other intro how I have a degree in communications and public relations and marketing, and I just think it's so cool how God is using my degree to like share the gospel, and just the different types of communication, like things that I've learned in school. I'm actually really using my degree, but I'm just using it in a completely different way than I ever thought. And I just care so much about people. I care so much about wanting to help other people and like have people just be healed. And like, I just know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to go through hard things. And so this has nothing to do with being on a podcast. The only reason a podcast is something I like is because it has the option for you to have a longer length of video. Like, the longevity of speaking is accessible for someone who wants to speak and do it. So it's on the platform of a podcast. But I just think that, I was praying on a walk about like, what does God want me to say? Like, I was like, what do you want me to talk about? Like, how do you want me to share it? And he dropped in my spirit. I felt like today I was supposed to talk about giving you advice from my 16-year-old self in high school. So I'm just excited to talk about that. I feel like it's super relatable. I know a lot of my age demographic is girls who are predominantly like in high school and college areas, and just different types of like going through different types of things. Like, I just feel like everything I've gone through, like I've probably gone through what you are going through, and I feel like that is kind of what I want to even talk about today. Like, it is so relatable. I just feel like there's so much that I did not know when I was 16. I was not the person I am today, and I truly feel like I'm 23 and I have grown so much. I'm like so proud of myself when I look back, because I feel like I'm like the big sister to the little girl that I never had. I'm the oldest, so I'm one of two. My sister's younger than me, and so I never had an older sister. The only thing I could relate it to, and that's not a sister, is she's my mom, and my mom and I are very close, but I never had an older sibling. So I feel like I'm personally like that person who is for the girl who was young at this age and who was broken and hurt and confused. And I just think that, I just wish that there were certain things that I knew when I was 16. Again, I'm going to speak a lot about my past. So almost all of these things I have overcome, especially by having a relationship with God and Jesus and just my faith and all that. And I show you kind of practical ways how to implement this and just let it be something that's like a daily thing. And I've gone through so many different obstacles in life that I just feel like it has to be shared. And truly, that is my dream. That's my passion. I want to just share the gospel. I want to share with you even just like how to love yourself, how to have confidence, self-esteem. It's just something I see young girls struggling with today. I see them struggling with their identity, and I can't not talk about it. It's just definitely the calling the Lord has over me, and like everybody has a different calling, a different platform, but I said to the Lord, I will use my platforms to share the goodness of you. And I'm just sharing my story, I'm not here to tell you what to do. Like, I'm just here to tell you guys how I have overcome these things. And I just feel like especially because I've spoken to so many young people and older people. Like, it doesn't just apply to people who are young, it applies to all ages, but so many people relate, and it's just, I feel like it's a sisterhood. I feel like more and more I just have a group chat with girls. I feel like I'm connecting with people daily, and I honestly am feeling so grateful and so happy, because if I can just be a sister, a friend, that's also another thing. Like, I do not care about the platform. I don't even like I don't not like podcasts. I do, but like before, I never thought I would like be a podcaster. Like, that's not something I ever like wrote down and dreamed about. It's not. It's just something that the podcast gives you a platform and the longevity to speak and to be able to share. So I feel like that's why I'm able to come on here and speak, because it's like giving you length and able to like share your story. And I do like the fact that you don't have to just like be on TikTok, which is like a 30 second. I know they have 10-minute now, but it's so hard to get to know someone. And from my perspective, like, I truly feel like I am a very, very misunderstood person, and that comes with knowing who God is and stuff. But I just like feel like we don't get to know each other nowadays with social media. And I feel like with the podcast, you actually get to know me, and you get to know my heart, and you get to see my personality and see the things that like bother me, or the thing, like, I just want to be super vulnerable and transparent. And I go into that on this, like, with the things that I want to talk about with just the tips from a 16-year-old self in high school. So I guess I'll kind of just go into it. If I'm looking over here, it's because I have notes and stuff that you guys are also on the video, because I do post these on the audio, but I feel like it's just a completely different story when you're on the video. And I think it's so much better. So yeah, I was just also saying too, before my clip ended and I have to redo it, I was saying how I was praying to God about how he wants me to go about the podcasts. And yeah, like, I think there's definitely a good amount of preparation you can prepare, but I also think I just like coming here and sitting with you guys and just like letting the Holy Spirit speak through me and just chat and just being myself. Like, I feel like I literally have no makeup on today. It's so hot out. I have the day off. I work 30 hours a week at another job. So I try to do this both, like, try to manage both doing social media and different types of things and ministry and stuff on my own and events and stuff while also working. And so my dream for a full-time job would literally be to do this full-time. And I know that it's possible, but yeah, so I do want to just kind of get into it. I hope that you guys are having an amazing day. And I honestly just pray over these episodes. I pray that it brings you encouragement. I know what it feels like to just, be down and sad and just not in a good place. And I honestly just pray that these give you such encouragement and just bring some light to your life. And grab a coffee, just chill out. I feel like we're like a family. I just want to like sit and talk to you guys and let you get to know who I am. And I feel like most of you probably do know a lot about my testimony. I'm not really going to go like into it too in depth, but I do kind of want to talk about myself in high school. Okay, so let's just try to go back in time. It was so weird as I was doing this. I was literally like reflecting on myself, and I was like, this feels so weird. Like, I don't want to be like thinking about this, because I don't know. There was just like, there was a ton of good, but there was also just like so much like trauma and things I've overcame, and I was just like, ew, like, but I'm obviously not judging myself. I just thought it was like a little bit like cringe. I don't know. But anyway, so the first thing I remember about high school truly is I literally cared so much about what people thought about me. That was all that I cared about. I lived, like, you know how the Bible tells us to live for one and not for man? I lived completely for man. Granted, I wasn't staying close to God. I didn't have a relationship with God. I didn't know. But it literally put me in chains, you guys. Like, I would do the most obscure things for the opinions of others. I was so insecure. I would like go to the bathroom 4 times a class or whatever, 4 times a day, and just like touch up my makeup because I like had to like look perfect. And I also want to preface, like, if there's some things that I'm speaking about in my past that you are resonating with how you are today, I don't want you to feel judged. I don't want you to feel, I don't want you to feel like closed off. I understand that this is a sensitive topic. A lot of the things I'm going to be talking about are probably maybe triggers or going to be sensitive to you because maybe you're going through them. I want you to look at my life now and be like, if she can go through this, I can get through this. If God can do what she did with her, then he could do it with me. So I want you to practice your faith. I want you guys to practice having faith. When you're listening to me, don't think that I'm holier than thou, or I'm better than you, or I'm better than that. I'm not. And that's why I'm so heavy on sharing and being vulnerable and opening up about the things that I've gone through. Even if it seems too much, I don't care, because I know what actually goes on in high school, the things that nobody talks about, the boys, the sex, the drugs, the drinking. Like, I'm not going to not talk about it, because it is what happens. It's what's happening. And the only way to get through the darkness is if we shine light on it. I have no shame about my past. I didn't know God. I was living through, and I think that's a huge thing. Like, do not feel shame. Shame comes from the devil and the darkness of the world, and light and God does not condemn. That comes from Jesus. The Lord does not condemn. He always calls us higher. He always sees us higher than we are. And so if you're caught in some type of, maybe you're feeling wrong, or you're feeling like it's, you're feeling, the word that would be if you're feeling bad is conviction. It's healthy conviction. And I have that in my life daily, all the time. I mean, multiple times a year, a month. Like, it's good to have conviction from God, because it means he cares. It's like the second you don't have conviction and you don't see what you're doing wrong, or you don't think that anything's wrong with it, that's kind of when you need to, or you're doing something over and over again, like you're in sin and you don't realize it, and you know the truth, but you keep doing it. That's just rebellion, which I also had in high school. I was rebellious without realizing it. So yeah, the first thing I wrote was I wouldn't care so much about what I looked like on my outside appearance, and I would focus more on who I am on the inside, which matters most to God. And I just think that is so true. How many of us just focus so much on our appearance? Look at society. Look at the way that people in culture push, like so much on us to look a certain way, and the filters. And I didn't even live in a time, like, I'm 23, so my friends and I, we didn't even live in the era where social media was even prevalent. Like, we literally posted pictures from like the iMovie thing, and like the weirdest, like, we put like the weirdest filters over our pictures. Like, it wasn't aesthetic. It wasn't cute. Nobody was using it. No one, I mean, it was a little bit it was like just starting, where I remember like followers, and like certain friends had more followers than me, or like I had more than them. And so you would like start to have pride, or you would start to feel like you're insecure because you don't have as much followers with like someone else. And competition, like, that is just so not how God created us to live. It is so not the design of why we're supposed to be here, and it is not healthy as well. So I would truly have focused much more on who I was becoming and my character, versus just so self-absorbed and focusing so much on my confidence coming from my appearance, because that just caused me so much damage. I'm telling you guys, like, if you can alleviate this from your life now, do it. Because if I'd known that my confidence came from who I was, I would not have put so much pressure on myself. I would not have become my own worst enemy or my own worst critic. And I really hope that there's someone on the other side of this screen who starts to take this advice that I have and that I used to do. And I used to have so much pressure on myself, put on by myself, because I thought that my confidence came from the way that I looked, or my eyelashes, or my makeup and my skin, and like whatever. And so I am so big on beauty. I love taking care of myself. I love makeup. I love that. God created me to love fashion. He created me this way, but he did not create me to be self-absorbed, and he did not create me for my confidence to be what I looked like. It's about who I am and shining from the within on the outside. And I wish that I had emphasized on that more. So that is a word for somebody today. And I know that is because we've all been there. And then the second thing I have is, I said I would actually live out the Bible and have a personal relationship with God. I would get to know who Jesus actually was and not be so rebellious. I didn't realize faith would change my life so much. I thought I was weird for speaking about my faith due to the fear of people pleasing. Again, I'm not going to keep saying it because obviously you guys know I severely struggled with people pleasing, as I'm sure you have struggled with as well. It is a natural thing for us to want to be liked by other people, want to be accepted, want to be included. Our soul is longing to be loved, to be seen, to be known, and that is why we were created. Why do you think you long for people to see you, notice you, give you affirmation. You're not beneath because of it. But we were created that way by God to be seen and known by Jesus. That is why the longing in your heart will not be filled by anything else except Christ. And it took me just about, my whole I'm only 23, but half of my life thus far to know that. I didn't know that. And I also want to preface, I grew up a devoted Catholic. I went to all of the christenings, all of the first communions, baptisms. I had my confirmation. I went to Sunday school class. I knew of Jesus. My grandma was a prayer warrior. She went to church. She talked about God all the time. But I just did not live. I didn't have I was a lukewarm, which essentially means I wasn't a Christian, because the Lord says he spits you out of your mouth. So I knew of God and I knew of the Bible, but I was not living it. Nothing set me apart from the way that I was living. Nothing set me apart from, any of my peers or anything else that I would have, done today. And I was not living out the Bible. I didn't read the Bible. I just knew of it. I knew of God. I knew that I was a Catholic, and I thought that was all that I had to be. And I thought that was what, was going to help me until I went through a lot of trials as I got older. And I saw the dirt of life. I hit rock bottom. I just couldn't find my way up, and God saved me from myself. He saved me. And so I would really, if I was in high school today, my wish obviously would be that I would actually live out the Bible. I would start reading the Bible, and I would actually prioritize my relationship with God above any other relationship. I would just truly get to know who Jesus even was. I would actually try to look up things about who God was, who was Jesus. I would be super curious about my faith. And I grew up with my mom was a praying mom. My mom, would always mention God to me in faith. We didn't go to church every Sunday. We played sports. I played soccer, but she would always reiterate to me about God and faith. And so from where God was using her, where she was at, she was showing me. And now it's funny because I feel like I help her so much, and she's grown so much through Christ through watching her daughter, but she ultimately planted seeds in me when I was a young kid, and she would try to talk to me about my faith, and she's like, you don't do certain things and this and that. But again, I didn't know the love of Christ, so I didn't really have anything to do anything for God for. I didn't know how good God was. I didn't even know faith in general. I didn't know. I didn't realize. And so I didn't realize it changed my life. So I think also just not being afraid to ask my mom questions about faith. Instead I was just knowing God is weird. I'm not being a weird church Bible girl. I'm not even realizing it's going to change my whole entire life and make me the best person that I ever am. So that is one of the second things that I have written here. I'm kind of going to try to breeze through these so that I'm not running over time. But the third thing I have is I would not live my life for the opinions of others or for man, but for the opinion of one and only one, who is Jesus, which I kind of just touched upon. And this would have just relieved so much pressure and performance that I put on myself. And when I say that, I mean that. I put pressure on myself, because the thing is I was getting attention. I was getting the accolades, and I was getting, I was starting on the soccer team. I was being flocked at by men or boys or whatever, and they were telling me how pretty I was and whatever. And so compliments are nice and flattering, and I appreciate them. But when you're so young and you don't have anything else to live for except your appearance, and you're putting all that pressure on the way that you look, like I told you guys, I didn't care about really building character. I was always a sweet girl, I will say. I was always a very, very caring, sweet girl by nature. That's how God created me. But I definitely just it wasn't enough. Who I wasn't enough for me. I never let it be enough for me. I always had to do more and be better. And this sort of performing act became so normal to me, and it truly became overbearing, and honestly it was just so exhausting. And it trickled into my college era. It trickled into just I'd be going to the most basic event or birthday party or anything. Waking up in the morning was just so difficult, because I would take 30 years to just get ready, because I thought I had to look perfect. It just made my life so complicated. It made me stressed out. It made me have anxiety. Like it was anxiety because I would be like, I don't know, like speeding to class because I was just like running late because like I had to look a certain way and like I had to do these things, and it made my mind so chaotic and just so not what God wanted us to live for. Like he wants us to have a simplicity about us. Like it doesn't have to be so much, because when we live for Christ, we are enough. Meaning like you don't have to do that unless you're living for the people and opinions of others. And so that is why I still work on that to this day. I'm being honest, like I don't think I'm fully over it yet. I do believe I have grown so much. I truly, like I'm literally sitting here with no makeup on and I just like feel free. Like I don't know. And I love makeup. It's not that, but like I don't have to. And I think that is so big. So that is something I would say too. Like I truly would not live for other people. I would try to live for God, and that's it. And that would alleviate so much of my performance in high school. Okay, so this other one is something that I know we have all struggled with. This is stopping comparison. Stopping seeking to be chosen. We all long to be seen, and Jesus is the only one who truly knows our hearts the most and knows what we long for. I'm kind of like overlapping what I've written. I feel like I've talked about this, but comparison is the thief of all joy. We know this. We have heard this. People say it. Why do they say it's the thief of all joy? Because comparison makes you so ungrateful. It makes you look at someone else and say, I wish I had that. And it makes you discontent. It makes you not accept who you are and what you have and what God has blessed you with, and you think that the grass is greener on the other side. So I remember comparison started to come in so many different forms in high school, not just appearance wise, but in so many areas. Like I remember one of my friends got like a brand new car when she was just got her license. And I was like, why can't I have a new car, mom and dad? And I would just be so hard on my parents because I didn't know. And I was like, well, this person gets to have a brand new car. Like, how come I can't have a new car? And so I'm comparing myself and my life. Then I was like looking at my house. I was like, my house is like not as big as this person's house. Like, why do we have to have a small house and that person gets to have more? What comes with comparison? Jealousy, envy. Granted, I was never, I really don't have a jealous bone. Like I by nature, like it can happen, envy, but I don't have a malicious bone in my body. Like I would never really, to my friends, I would still celebrate them. I just would long for what they had. Like I didn't wish them harm. I was happy for them, but I would like yearn for that inside. I would be like, you know, why do they get to have that and I don't? And I just would wish and oh, poor me, and self-pity me. And it's okay to like desire something that your friends have. It's okay to make, you know, that a prayer to God or have a goal of that. But when it starts to rob you of your joy, the thief of joy, it's not God, it's the devil. He's trying to take away the things that God has already given you, the things that you have, because the truth is we always think someone has something better, but we don't actually always look at ourselves. And, you know, it's more normal to be like, that person has a better life than me. Number one, you probably don't know what that person's gone through or what they have dealt with to even know that. Number two, you don't think to just look at yourself and be like, well, I have this that person doesn't have. And so, you know, I'm just grateful and content for what I have. It's not in our nature to be like, I'm going to be content, you know? And so that's why I think it's so important to not compare, and not compare because it's going to steal so much beauty away from you. It's going to steal so much beauty from how God created you to be. And I think the thing with comparison is it's discontentment. That's what I realized. Like when you compare, you're not content with yourself. You're actually also putting somebody else on a pedestal and making them an idol. And we're not supposed to make anyone an idol. We're supposed to just be like, you know, idolize Jesus, and that's it, one person. We're not supposed to idolize other people and put them on pedestals and make them out to be bigger and better than us, or less than us. I mean, that's just, that comes with pride as well. So I would really seriously, when you start to catch yourself comparing or like thinking, oh, I want to look like that girl, I want to be like that girl, why does her life look so good? She has money, she has followers, she has like, she's so lucky. Like, truthfully, you don't know what's going on in that person's heart. And even if that person is so lucky and they have everything that you want, it isn't a reason to want to be someone else. It's not God's best, because you think that because that someone else has something that you want, that it's going to do you good. What if it would do you harm? What if God's not giving it to you because he knows you wouldn't be able to handle it? What if you having money would destroy your life? Or what if you having fame would actually bring you down destruction? Like, we have to trust God and trust that what we have by him is enough. And if he wanted us to have it, then we would. And I think living that way is going to change your thought process on comparison. If you were supposed to have blonde hair, God would have created you with it. If you were supposed to have different colored eyes, God would have created you with it. If you were supposed to have, I don't know, a different life, God would have created you to have a different life. And so it also comes down to trusting who God is, and trusting the way that he created you is enough. So try to keep that in mind for the next time you want to compare. Remember that the way that God created you and your life is enough. And also, your time will come. When someone else is going through something, I say that, I'll give you guys like a quick example. My aunt was someone so vibrant. I say was because she passed away, but she was someone so vibrant, so, goal-oriented. She came over from Italy. She built up a salon for her life. She made a name of herself. She was a hustler. She was an immigrant, came from Italy. Like, I admired her so much. People around her were very envious of my aunt because they felt like she had everything. She had a great marriage. She had great kids, just things that people long for. What they didn't know was that my aunt also had personal struggles that she didn't talk about. With also coming with that, my aunt died at 50. She got sick at 56, 55, I think. I don't remember the age, honestly. She got sick in her 50s. I say that all to say, it looks like somebody can have everything that you want, but we don't know the timeline of their life. Like, we don't know what's to come of them. We don't know if their life would be taken tomorrow, or we don't know that. And so we can't put other people on a pedestal. We have to just be happy for the other people around us. We have to just not want to steal that from other people because we think that we deserve it. And I don't say that to say that God doesn't care about your desires. Of course he does, but he doesn't want you to look at someone else and say, I wish I was that person. He wants you to be happy, content, and find the joy within yourself. So that might mean you need to unfollow people from social media. You probably need to limit your screen time, looking at other people, and just focus on you and God. And I wished I did that more when I was in high school. Another thing I wrote down is I wished I would have done gratitude and been more thankful for what I had, which kind of goes with what I just said. In the moment, I think it's so easy for us to look at what we don't have and wish that my mindset would have been different. I feel like I would sometimes give my parents a hard time. I wasn't super understanding, and I just wanted to be selfish because by nature, we are selfish. Because I thought I was lacking something. I saw my friends have more. I really just talked about this. It's so funny. I'm talking about it and then reading it, and it's what I wrote. So I really would have prayed to have more humility. Knowing Jesus does give you humility. Truthfully, I started my junior year and I started to get into self-development, and I wish that I would have just taken better care of my nutrition and different things like that. And at this time, I truly wished that I wasn't so selfish. I wish that I didn't give my parents such a hard time for that stuff. And I think for a while that made me have a lot of guilt, which is not from God. But I also think it takes the pressure off. When you don't know who God is, you are selfish by nature, and you can't fight me on that because I am selfish. By nature, we are selfish people. Majority of us. I am a very selfless person, but our sin nature wants to be selfish. We want to make things all about us. We want to act that way, and we tend to think more of ourselves. Again, attributes of so much selflessness. I would give someone the shirt off my back, but when I was 16, I didn't know that. I thought that the world revolved around me, that my parents were supposed to do everything for me. I didn't realize my dad was working his butt off day to night just to make ends meet, that I'm begging him for a car that he doesn't even have. It's just not even realistic. And it's about humility. You don't get to always get the best of the best at 16. You don't even know what a job is. Humility is a beautiful attribute for us to all have. The Lord wants us to have humility. And we truly can't do anything without humility, because if we have pride, we just think we're better and puffed up. And I call it sneaky pride. We don't always feel like we have pride, but sometimes I mean, thinking you're better than can be pride. So it's just being honest with yourself. And I also think I said here too, I wished I would have focused more on like nutrition in the sense of taking care of my body, eating more healthier foods, vegetables, like I do now. Trying to try different types of foods and not just eat like goldfish all day, I guess. I used to eat like pepperoni sandwiches, and I don't think you want to go crazy with like the whole health thing. Like, you're so young, obviously eat cookies and enjoy that, but I think balance is very important. And I think if I did that, you just like are able to function better with your brain, and you're just better like to have better habits. I wished I'd start that younger. I mean, it makes your skin better, it makes you have more energy. Like, there's never a young age to start being healthy. So I definitely wish I would have done that more. I also feel like I would have laid off going to the gym like every day, twice a day. I did that for a while, and I think I did that for a reason to overcompensate for not being enough. And I love the gym. I work out. I'm very healthy with my workouts, and I just like love being active. Like, I do find a way to sweat and work out every day. But there was a point where I couldn't not work out because I would feel like I was less than, and that's not healthy. So I would lay off the working out. I would tell myself, Vanessa, you don't need to work out every day. You're perfect as you are. If you can't get to the gym, it doesn't mean that you're less than, or you are going to feel less because of it. Stop living for the opinions of other people. Like, just live for Jesus, and he says you're enough. He does not say, it does not say in the Bible that you need to anywhere work out 8 times a day to, look good for me, Vanessa. Like, the Lord does not say that to us. He says take care of your temple. And so I know that there's a fine line between that, and you guys know what that's like to take care of your temple. Like, yeah, don't sit on the couch all day long and eat potato chips, but also don't work out 4 times a day because you think that you have to gain all this muscle, and if you don't, like, you're not going to be attractive. Like, that's just the enemy trying to rob you of your joy. Find the things that you like to do. I'd say that, like, find different types of hobbies that you like to do. Different types of things that are going to make you look at, what do you like? Do you like tennis? Do you like jogging? Do you like walking? Do you like lifting? I found that I love to lift weights, and it even changes. I like Pilates now. I like to walk. I like to play tennis. I like to play pickleball with my boyfriend. Like, we're very active. We're a very active couple. My family's very active. I like to play soccer. Like, it doesn't have to just be like one way fits all because that's like all that you know. Try to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Another thing that I wrote, which is so funny, is embrace your natural beauty. A lot of this has to do with beauty because, you guys, you didn't see me in high school. If I had a camera on, my friends knew. My friends from high school know. And my mom knows because she was my personal hairstylist. My poor mom. I would truly wake up at, I know a lot of girls did this, you wake up so much earlier than you have to go to school, and I would just do my makeup every day because I loved makeup. And again, there's nothing wrong with a desire that you have or something you love, but it's everything with balance, and also why are we doing the things we're doing? I started to find a love for makeup, but it started to become something that I couldn't go without, and I couldn't not wear makeup because I started to think that I looked ugly. I truly convinced myself there was a lie from the devil that I looked worse without makeup, which just was not true. You guys, the way that the devil lies to you is it's not true, and the fact that you live in those lies for so long, that's why it is so important to speak over yourself truth of what God says over you, because it breaks the chains over your life. So I started to, as I got older, as I found love for myself and Christ, I embraced my natural skin, just the things that God created me. I started to find he wanted me to be okay if I didn't have to wear makeup. I remember thinking crazy things such as if I have a boyfriend, how am I gonna or a husband, I was so young, a boyfriend, I was how am I going to sit next to him and sleep next to him and not wear makeup? You have to take it off, and so is he gonna think I'm ugly? These thoughts came through my head, but I also think a part of it was God saying to me and trying to push me to take off the makeup and just let my skin breathe and accept what I looked like. And I am beautiful without makeup. You are beautiful without makeup. You are too hard on yourself. Listen, you're in high school, you're 16 through 18. I understand that puberty might be, you're going through like hormonal changes, but to be honest, you're not going to have any better skin than you are when you're 16, 17, 18, 19. You don't have wrinkles. You don't have anything that you need to cover up. Like, maybe you have some pimples here and there, but like, you should also be able to find that love within yourself as you heal and stuff, to be able to just put on some sunscreen and go to school. And I wished that I'd done that, because it would have made life so much simpler. I used to see girls who did that, and I thought that they were like so free. And I was like, I just wish that could be me, but it can't be me. Yes, it can be you. I'm like, yes, it could have been me. You just have to get to the root. And the root was that I thought I looked ugly without it. And I also thought that people wouldn't like me without it. And I, like, those people were gods to me. Like, I was a slave to people's opinions. Like, if someone said they didn't like me, I would go home and cry and be like, why don't they like me? Why don't they like me? Because I was looking in all of the wrong places to be longed for. So yeah, girl, take off your makeup, go outside in the sun, get a little suntan, put some SPF on, some skincare, some Hailey Road Bieber skincare, glaze, milk, whatever, and go to school, go to class. Don't worry so much about the makeup, because then you're like sitting in class and like you're sweating and like it's creasing and like it just isn't like, I don't know. I just like feel like I put way too much pressure on like that, and too much money. Like, I wasn't able to like afford some of the things that I could get. Like, I would beg my mom to go to Sephora, beg my parents to bring me to get makeup. And again, I love makeup. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have it or put it on, but when it's something, you have to be honest with yourself. Do you feel less than without it? If you do, try to get to the root of it, because I'm telling you, it is so freeing to just come on here as you are and actually be able to love yourself. And it's a process, you guys. I went through this for a process. I had to go through this for years. Like, I was like, I'm just going to take care of my skin. Actually, as I started to eat better, I noticed my skin looked better and I didn't need makeup as much. So just take care of yourself. Go outside, get air, get fresh air, get sun. Like, that is the most beautiful thing about someone. It is not just the fact that they have on a ton of makeup. Again, if you see me wearing makeup, it's because I love doing makeup, but I also can wear no makeup and feel just as beautiful. So it took me a while to get there, but that's just where I'm at now. And I hope you can get there too. It's my prayer for you to get there. Written down, priorities, priorities, priorities. I have focusing more on others rather than myself. What I mean by that is, instead of making things all about me, I would really have tried to listen to my friends more and trying to give them the best advice that I could have, using the heart that God has given me to actually make the world a better place, and not just be so superficial about clothes or different stuff like that. I would have asked questions more to my friends about their home lives, how they were actually doing, how they were actually feeling, and how I could offer some type of love or support or help to them. I definitely would not have... Oh, I'm going into the next one. Oh my gosh, that one is so big. I just feel like because I was so hyper fixated on the way that I looked and everything was about me, I didn't realize that it was taking away my energy to care about other people. And one thing about me is I have such a big heart and I care about the freaking like animals outside, okay? Like, I care about, like, if I hit a squirrel, like, I'm crying. Like, I just care. And I love how God has changed my life for the things that I used to be. Like, that's why when people say to me, like, they're like, oh, you're so caring, you're so kind. Like, thank you so much for like calling my daughter and helping her. And like, why do you care so much about people? And like, my boyfriend, he's always like, you just like talk to people, you smile at people. Like, why do you go out of your way? It's because I lived my life for so long not caring about people and caring about myself. And it is the most grossest feeling. Like, I can't tell you how rewarding it is when I speak to someone and I pray with them and I help them, or I just am kind to them. Like, when they tell me that like I helped them, or they're like, you're just like, you're a blessing to me, you blessed my life today, you changed my life. Like, you get so addicted to just wanting to like be who God created you to be that you don't even want to like think so much about like your past of how you were. I'm like, I don't ever want to be that girl again. Like, I don't want to just focus all about myself. I want to focus on other people. Like, I want to go places and I want to be like, who's the person here who's hurt? Who's the person here who needs a hug? Like, what is it that you need? Like, how can I offer my life and my gifts to you? Because that is what's going to fill you. That is what makes you feel beautiful. That's what makes me feel beautiful, at least. That's what truly makes me feel beautiful. Not just that I'm wearing makeup. Like, I don't care anymore about that. Like, I care more about helping you than I do about the way that I look today. Like, I just feel like as you go with God, he becomes enough for you. And I still, don't get me wrong, like, I still struggle with this from time to time, but for the most part, I'm delivered of this and I don't ever want to look back. And so, yeah, I think just being more others focused, outward focused, not so inner focused. Okay, let's go here. I wrote down, I definitely would not have ever dated the people in my past, although everything happens for a reason, and they are great people to this day. But I would have recognized the patterns of the way that they went about dating, and immediately not put myself in a position to get hurt and let my guard down and break my own heart by being so open to my heart getting hurt. And I honestly don't know if you guys actually know this about me, but in high school, I do talk about it a little bit. I was severely heartbroken from like being a sophomore in high school to, I'd say, a freshman in college. And I just yearned so much and so deeply to be loved, and I had a crush on this person. I cared so much about my appearance and everything, and just like status and stuff. So this person was actually, I was a sophomore and he was a senior, so I thought that in itself, my perception of being cool was dating someone older, although my heart got broken because I did not have any real, well, okay, no, let me back up. I had standards. Like, I didn't want to sleep with people. I didn't want to do things like that. I wasn't like someone to get around, sleep around, but I was a little flirt. Your girl was a flirt. Like, I knew what I was doing. I was getting attention. I knew how to, I don't know, smile at the right people. Like, and they were saying things about me. They were like, oh, she's, like pretty, like whatever, trying to pursue me. And so, okay, me, like maybe at home I wasn't getting that attention. I wasn't getting it from God. I definitely wasn't. So where was I getting it? I was getting it from the men at school. Like, I was living for them. I was a slave to that. Like, I just wanted to be like that. And so there was just this cute lacrosse player at the time that I thought was so cute. And so, yes, I'm not saying that, like, the attraction definitely has to be there. Should it be the first thing that we look at? Absolutely not. What is the first thing we should look at when we're going to date someone, or we're trying, like, first of all, I don't even think we really should be dating in high school, to be completely honest. I don't think you know yourself enough. At least for me, I didn't know myself enough. I didn't know my identity. I didn't really have too many standards. And I think your heart is way too fragile to get stomped on at such a young age. Again, I'm not God, so I can't say for sure. Like, sometimes people meet in high school, they're high school sweethearts. But for me, that was not the case. I would just seek attention from all types of guys. So I was in this situationship, you could say. That was the first red flag, you guys. I did not have that type of standard because I did not have self-worth. I did not know what self-worth was. I did not think that I was worthy of. I thought that me being with him meant that I was lucky to have him. And although we are lucky to have people in our lives and stuff, I did not see my worth. I did not know, because I'd never even gone through a process of healing to know my worth. I didn't even think to know my worth. I didn't do things that made me feel worthy of it all. It wasn't to my awareness that I should have high self-worth. My mom would say it to me, but I didn't live that way. And so I was a sophomore and this person was a senior. And yeah, the word around town is that he thought I was cute. So, instantly that was like the number one thing. I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. He thinks I'm attractive. Like, that's enough, right? Like, I wasn't interested in him knowing my character, because I wasn't interested in even building good character. I didn't even really care. I looked like, the minute that I had found out someone older than me thought I was pretty, I thought that meant that he was going to like my personality, which is what most girls want a guy to like about them. You just may not know it, and wanted to date me, and it was not the case at all. And he was not a one relationship person only. Although I didn't know that, I was cheated on. My heart was bled and hurt, and I stayed in this relationship for a very long time, much longer than I ever should have, because I was scared to lose him. So I settled, and it really hurt me so deeply. And the thing about settling is, like, we know that we're settling, but the reason that we don't walk away is because we're scared to lose that person. And I get it, because I was scared to lose this person because I really liked him. Like, I really liked him. Like, I wanted to marry this person when I was in high school. But the thing is he was not treating me right at all. And so when someone isn't treating you right, and I knew he wasn't treating me right because he was talking to other girls, hurting me, cheating on me. I remember, like, the first time, like, we were not, like, exclusive. That was the first red flag. Like, I remember this person would hide me around. He would sneak me around town. Like, we wouldn't even, like, I wasn't able to meet his family because he thought of me so low. So because he was treating me that way, I was believing it. And I was like, well, you know what? Like, there must be something wrong with me. Like, although I was like, I'm such an amazing girl, like, why is he doing this? I should have put an end to it. But I didn't know my worth. I didn't know how special I was or amazing I was. I didn't see it, and that's the hard truth. The hard truth is you have to accept and you have to choose yourself more than your feelings for a person. And that's what's hard, because you really like this person. But I'm telling you, sweet girl, like, or boy, like, it is not worth it. It is not worth it, because it's always going to leave you sad, so confused. It is always going to leave you feeling like you should be doing more and you're less, and that is not the way that God designed us to live or date. And let me tell you, it destroyed me. This destroyed me. Like, I might not have looked like it destroyed me, but I'll be here to tell you now, as I'm 23, this relationship destroyed my self-confidence, it destroyed my self-worth, it destroyed my self-image, it destroyed my identity. Like, I started to compare myself to the person that I was cheated on with, and I was thinking, like, okay, I suck. Like, I'm putting this person on a pedestal. Now comes comparison. Now comes I'm not good enough. Now I'm trying to, like, backtrack, like, do things that, like, make me good enough, like posting hot pictures, like changing the way that I look, like doing all these things just for this one person to see me. It was like living hell. And I honestly, like, going back to this is just, like, traumatizing. But I think it goes to show how much I've grown. Like, I think standards are so important, knowing who you are in Christ before you date. And I clearly was meant to be in this relationship thing because it taught me who I was. It's taught me how to love myself. It's taught me that I am enough, and I will never, ever let someone treat me like that, ever again. And I think I needed to go through that, and maybe you had to go through that in order to, you know who your worth is, know who God says that you are now. And you need to heal. You probably need to heal, just like I needed to heal. And I truly do remember becoming somebody I didn't even recognize. Like, I could not find, I would do these crazy things. Like, I would look at this person's Snapchat score every day. I would stalk his, like, Instagram to see, like, who he was following. Like, I just became so insecure because he was making me insecure. Because he was insecure. Like, he didn't even know what he wanted. Therefore, I should not have been with him. Period. Like, there's no reason for me to have been with someone who was confused about me. If he's confused about you, I'm sorry, this might hurt. He doesn't like you, and you're not enough for him. So you need to leave. Because you're never going to be enough for him. And if you continue to just be in the relationship and not cut it off, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You're worth more. God has someone better for you. God would not have the person he has for you treat you that way, and you have to understand that. And I pray that right now that you have the courage to truly walk away from something that's breaking your heart and making you small. And I don't care how cute he is, choose yourself. You have to find the love within yourself. Do something for yourself that you've never done before, and do it for yourself. Don't do it for him. And I'm so proud that that's what I did. Like, I truly did it for myself. I was like, you know what? One day I was like, I'm so sick of the way that you're treating me. I'm so sick of this and that. And I just cut it off. And by the grace of God, I've never looked back and I've never been happier. And you have to just choose yourself over this person. I know there's feelings there. I'm sure there's soul ties and connections there. And that's why prayer can absolutely break that off of you. Prayer changed my life. Jesus changed my life. The way that he broke things off of my life. I'm telling you, one day I loved this kid, the next day I didn't. And that's just by the power and the blood of Christ. Because God knew that he was not the best for me. He knew that he was not the person he had for me. And so you need to get out of it as soon as possible. And I don't mean to make you scared or make you upset, but I'm trying to tell you that if you're in a situation that I was in so long ago and you're with somebody who doesn't see you or value you, it could be because you don't even value yourself. And that's the hard truth. I say that with love so that you can get to a place where you see your worth and you know what you deserve. And don't put up with it. Just don't put up with it. Like, you're better than that. You're a child of God. And I think once you start to realize how special and awesome you are, you're so disgusted by the fact that you would even ever stay with someone who would treat you that way. And that's what happened with me, at least. So I also remember this is when like self-hatred would start to come. And it just made me feel so small. And so I just, my worth was in if this person liked me. I feel like it actually even took away from building better friendships at the time. Like, I just can't imagine like if I'd put the energy that I did into like caring about this person. Like, I was just like a shell of myself. Like, my whole life revolved around this person liking me and this person like just caring about me. Like, I would wait up desperately. It's like so embarrassing, but like I would wait up because I wanted to be loved and longed by him. Like, I would wait up like hours in the middle of the night. I would go against my boundaries that I set for myself out of the way I felt towards this person because I didn't have self-worth. And I would like go sneak out and like do these things that like I just like didn't recognize myself. Like, this person was clearly not putting me in a position to be loved. He wasn't hanging out with me in the daytime. He wasn't taking me out in public. Like, that should have been the first thing I was like, absolutely not, like, you know. But I thought if I did that, like, I was too much. Like, who am I to like, you know? But you're a child of God. That's who you are. You deserve the best. You're a child of God. If once you become a child of God, you deserve the best. You are in a royal priesthood. Like, you are worthy of the best. Like, God will give you the best. Don't settle for anything other than God's best, and have faith that he will come through for you. And I could tell you from now, I'm dating someone who I actually significantly like know is God's best for me. That's just like for a whole other episode, but don't stay with someone who's going to cheat on you, look at other girls, lust over other people. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. That's all I can say. I also think the way that we're raised is a lot of the reasons like why we do certain things. And so I give myself so much grace. I hope that you give yourself grace. Like, maybe you were neglected. You have been neglected by your family, your mom or your dad. There's reasons why. And I think that's also why I said here too, I said like therapy and getting to the root of trauma is going to help you understand why you are wired the way you are. And I went through a period of like where I hated the way that I was wired. I would literally sit in a room and ask God, and I would say, God, why did you make me this way? Like, why am I wired this way? Like, what? Like, I went through like such a self-hatred like journey because I was just confused at myself. And the truth is like God makes us a certain way. No, sometimes we just have to get through the sin that we have or the reasons of why we are, but God made us the way we are for a purpose. Like, I'm a determined person for a purpose. Like, now I go into my prayer room and I fight the devil. Like, before I would fight people. Like, I would argue with them. I don't know. Like, I just like, but you are not a mistake. Like, the way that you're wired, the way that your personality is, like, that is because God made you that way. And, you know, getting closer to Christ, like, it only makes you a better version of yourself. It doesn't, I used to think, like, I truly was, like, ashamed, which is also, like, another thing. Like, I was ashamed to, like, be like fully who I was in Christ, because I thought that it was like me going backwards, but it actually is the whole opposite. Like, that is such a lie. You flourish as a Christian. Like, you flourish as someone who knows Jesus, because he makes you more like you and who he actually designed you to be. So that's also a little bit of information too that I feel like will really, really help you. Okay, I know this is getting long, so I'm kind of just going to fire through what else I have here. But I said, I feel like out of being in a place of lacking and wanting to be longed for and seen and loved, I just didn't know that that was God that would fill me. It just makes you, like, out of being in a place of lacking and constantly wanting to be loved and longed for, I didn't know that that was God that was supposed to fill that for me. Like, I did not know that. I became like super goal obsessed and goal oriented, which it's good to have goals, but it just became so obsessive. Like, I'm going to reach this goal because then I'll be, then I'll be loved more or whatever. Because you think that that's what's going to fill you. Or you think dating another boy or other people is going to be like, oh, okay, like once I get that, like that's it. Like once he loves me, like he's going to fulfill me. Like, right? Like culture and society tells us this, right? Well, it's not the truth. Nothing will fulfill you except Christ. Like, we have a longing in us. We have a longing in our souls for Jesus to be known by us. Like, we were created to be loved by him, and then sin entered to the world. That's what happened. We are in a fallen world where we have free will, that we do these things that lead us to be broken. And Jesus is the one who created you to be longed for him, and he wants to fill that for you. Maybe you've never heard the gospel before. Maybe you don't know who Jesus is, and hopefully this episode just gives you a little bit of who he is. And it's literally meant for you to be known, seen, and heard and loved by him and only him, because he will never fail you. He will never fail me. He will never fail us. He can't fail us because he died on the cross, and he defeated victory and death and Satan, and he defeated the devil and the enemy and all of the evil in the world. Just one drop of the blood of Jesus will change your life. Just one drop of the blood will change you and get you out of that situation. Just one drop of the blood will make your self-confidence and self-esteem that much higher, completely delivered from ever needing to be in that area again. Yes, you're going to have to work at it every single day. You're going to have to continue to fight for that, and the enemy's going to, it's a war, flesh and spirit, but you're not going to want to run back to that. Like, I'm transformed and delivered from ever needing to be with someone who ever again needs to fill that aspect of me, and I need to be longed for and loved for and give my body to that because I need to be loved. Like, I don't live that way anymore. Do you guys understand that? Because of Jesus. Without him, without Christ, you're going to strive for it in so many other areas that are just going to leave you constantly feeling empty. I'm telling you, I've done it with all of the things. I've done it with the way that I look, the way that I dress, people's opinions, just sports, achievements, school, academics, like every area I've done it, and it all leaves you feeling empty. I don't even think in high school our main priority should be dating, to be completely honest. I just don't think we know ourselves enough, truly, enough to date someone in that age. And I'm not saying again that like you can't, or God's will is not for you to date someone. Like, everyone's story is different. But if I were to have a daughter, I personally would not want her to focus on dating somebody right now who, like, I just feel like she would need to focus, and hopefully she would know her creator and just want to get so close to him and become who God's created her to be, so that she has standards and that she knows who she is before she goes and gives herself to somebody else or meshes a personality with someone else. Like, I'm in a relationship now, and like, it takes a lot of self-awareness, humility, like constantly having to like go back to God and be like, is it me? Like, help me not to get mad. Help me to like not be a nagging wife. Like, help me to bring the best out of this person and not the worst. Like, sometimes you catch yourself just like being like the ugliest person ever, and you're like, where did that even come from? Like, I don't think your emotions are able to handle it at such a young age if you don't know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, and you don't know what love is, true love is, which is Jesus, then you're actually probably going to be very in a destructive relationship in the sense. Of course, God can turn all things for good, like Romans 8:28, like he turns your life and everything around for the goodness of God, for the ones of those who love him. Like he truly can turn things around for good. I'm not saying that you should break up with your boyfriend. Like I personally don't know you, I don't know your story, but I do think it would be wise if you would not search for that in a boy at such a young age in high school. I don't think that your first love needs to be Jesus. Like it has to be who he is, because he is love. And the way that the world loves, it's not love. Love does not come with conditions. Love is not superficial or an exchange of something. Love is who Jesus is. First of all, it's forgiveness. It's giving forgiveness when you don't deserve it. It's patience. It's selfless. It's 1 Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast. It is all of those things. It's persevering. It's going through those things, and it's not giving up so quick. And it's also getting to know your identity in Christ. It's about getting to know who you are, so that when you're in a relationship with a boy or a guy, you actually know who you are, and you have standards, and you know the things you like about yourself. Like, go date yourself first. Like, go and see what it is that you like about the world. Like, how are you supposed to expect somebody else to figure that out for you when you don't even know yourself? You don't even know what you like yet. You don't know who you are yet. You have to live and experiment and be self-aware, and I think that's so important to do in high school. I don't think the number one thing should be just dating somebody, and then definitely not living in sin where you're sleeping with someone and now your heart is just like with this other person and you guys are just connected in that way, and then he goes and cheats on you or looks at other girls because he doesn't know any better, and you haven't given him a reason not to do that. So when I met my boyfriend, I was like, we're not sleeping together. Like, there's a standard you have as a woman of God because you know your worth, but you have to first get to that place. And I think high school would be a beautiful area for you to get to know who God says that you are. I don't think dating should be the first thing that you do. I know that you might hate me for saying that. I sound like a mom, but I'm just giving you my personal advice. I truly think, if you think about it, like, think of the other person more, how we're supposed to live, thinking of our others, love our neighbors as we love ourselves. We could really hurt other people. I truly mean that, because I don't think the person who was with me, I don't think he wanted to break my heart and hurt me. Maybe he did, but I know him and I don't think that he's like a malicious person. I truly just don't think he knew who he was. I don't think he knew the things that were like bothering him. Like, he had a lot of trauma and that bled onto me. Like, if he knew he was going to hurt me that bad, I don't know, maybe he wouldn't have done it. I think it's selfish to think that, like, we could really hurt other people, and essentially I feel like dating in this type of society and culture, I do think that that's happening very often. We're just taking people's hearts and like just stepping on them and crushing them and cheating on them and like doing such things that, like, you know, it's not love. Like, that is not love, you know? And like, we can give people grace, but like, manipulation, like narcissism, like that is not love. It's not how God intended us to love one another. So I just think it's so wise to get to know who you are and get to know Jesus, because he will essentially show you who you are, and in him who you are meant to be, and build the character of yourself first, so that when you're going into the relationship, you have those standards and you have those things that you're not going to compromise, which is going to alleviate so much hurt. I promise you it will. I would just go like rapid fire. I create a morning routine that wasn't curated all about myself. I would actually focus it on praying for other people, praying for my day, praying for myself. Absolutely. Like, I pray for myself every single day. I need prayer for myself. I love myself, I think, but that took so much work to get there. So yeah, curating a morning routine that is just like, I don't know, like, I literally love to wake up and like read my Bible, and then I like to go for a walk, and those are the things that's helped me, and I wish I could tell my younger self to like focus more about that and not just like what you looked like. So So we've grown. But then I would say hobbies, finding new hobbies that spiked interest and like not being afraid to try them, new sports, painting, knitting, cooking, rollerblading, like just new things, like new sports. Like I was always good at running. I never did track. I wonder if I would have been like a good track star if I didn't care about what people would think, you know? So don't be afraid to try new things. It's going to really help you. I wished I'd saved money and got into that habit. Not even so much because you have to save a ton of money yet because you're so young and your parents are probably providing for you, but it's good to get into the habit of knowing the worth of $1 so that you can already just be one step ahead of the game when you're in your 20s and not in debt and just, you know, asking questions. Like, people, you have time on your side when you're 16 and 17. Like, you are so young, you can ask those questions, like, so that you can actually have a better foundation going forward. I would absolutely have had a mentor or a godly role model, somebody I could trust other than my mom, because sometimes you don't always want to open up to your mom or dad, and just being super honest with them about how I was feeling and doing, and just being super vulnerable with them. I think someone you could trust is so important. Someone older than you, someone wiser than you, and someone who's going to give you godly wisdom and lead you in the right path and actually call you higher with love and be like, don't do this. Like, I'm not trying to shame you. Like, I try to talk to girls all the time. I'm like, hey, like, you probably don't want to sleep with that person because it's going to leave you hurt. And like, yeah, you don't want to hear it, but I'm telling you for your own good. Because I love you, not because I'm judging you, but because I love you. Yeah, again, it takes humility. And I would incorporate prayer into my life when I got discouraged. Instead of wanting to give up when it's hard, learning how to push through hard times. So yeah, totally. Nowadays, whenever I feel like I'm starting to feel the weight of stuff, I pray. I go to prayer, I pray, I ask God to help me persevere through something when I want to give up. I take it off of myself. The pressure is not on me. It's not about me. It's about Jesus. So God comes into my life and he actually takes that away, and I pray for him to do that. And I pray for him to give me the strength to be able to keep going instead of doing it all on myself. We were never meant to carry it all by yourself. So, that would have helped me a lot because I gave up so much because I just didn't know how to do something. Prayer changes things. So please, so prayer changed my life. Healing. I would absolutely heal, and therapy, getting to the root of trauma, reading your Bible and using the Word of God to combat lies, going to church and being open and getting prayer, being in a community, a church community, a Bible study, something like that. This is going to change your life. Like, the moment that you start to heal, the quicker you're able to flourish. And so I had to heal from past trauma. I had to heal from things with my family, my dad, my mom, just lies that were spoken over me, so much I had to heal. So that is a huge one. Boldness. I was so timid. I never wanted to hurt people like I was hurt. Learning how to love myself by saying no and knowing that I'm still kind, speaking up when I needed to be, and removing myself from situations, even, get this, even if it makes them uncomfortable, out of the respect for myself. So this goes hand in hand with people pleasing. So really just learning this habit, no to the drinks, no to the driving people around all night. I was always the DD. And no to putting myself in positions to get hurt, especially because half of the time I did not even want to be there. I just think out of respect for yourself and love for yourself, which comes with time and healing and all of this with God, you learn that you can say no, and if it actually makes them uncomfortable, it's okay. They're putting you in an uncomfortable situation. So I can't even tell you how many times I just am learning how to do this more. So many times I was taken advantage of because of my kindness, and I didn't know how to speak up for myself in a kind way. As Christians, we're not a doormat. Yes, God is our defender, but also you treat people how to respect you. And I just think that is huge. You can say back to someone very kindly, hey, don't speak to me that way. You can learn how to do that, and it doesn't mean that you're not a bad, I used to think it was I'm a bad person. That's a lie. That's not true. And just put your foot down, because people are going to take advantage of you if they know how to, and especially if you just keep letting them, they'll keep doing it because you are allowing it. So put your foot down. Having self-love and self-respect is also learning how to, be able to stand up in that area. There's battles that the Lord can only fight for you, but to the generic, like, I feel like learn how to just say, no, I'm not doing that. Or like, I don't care what you think, because God isn't going to judge me for that. So why should I care what they're going to think? It's people pleasing again. I would find myself driving people all the time and just doing stuff like that. So it just like was such like a waste, I feel like, in a way. Like, I was so exhausted. Like, I didn't want to do it, but I did it because I thought my friends wouldn't like me. Like, if that's the case, you just need new friends. But honestly, half of the time you say no. It's uncomfortable for 2 seconds, and then life goes on. Nobody's mad at you. Like, you're just thinking they're going to be mad at you, but they should still love you the same. I mean, yes, they will. I mean, it just depends. Like, so what? You feel like you're like the downer. You're not fun. Who cares? Who cares what they think? Again, it only matters what God thinks, and He doesn't think you're that. He thinks you're wise for doing that. So, lastly, beauty should come from within. Scripture tells us in Peter, I believe it is, that a woman who fears the Lord should be praised. And it doesn't matter what you look like so much. And keeping up with the Joneses is exhausting. So that is the last thing I wrote. It's very true. Beauty comes from with who you are, and your beauty will shine from within. So people will be able to see that glow, the Jesus glow of being kind and living the way that the Bible says. And God takes that so much more precious. He doesn't look at our outside appearance. He does not stature that. He does not value that, as any type of beauty. He values your inside. And that should change the way that you live, especially in a culture today. Beauty comes from who you are. And so always, always remember that a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. It doesn't say a woman who is the most beautiful shall be praised. That is not biblical. It's a woman who fears the Lord. It's the one with the heart of gold, a pure heart. He's coming back for a bride. He's not coming back for, he's not looking at America's Next Top Models. Like, if that is who you are and what you're doing, that's amazing. But it's about who you are, and you shine so much more beautiful when you're beautiful on the inside, because you could be so beautiful on the outside, and if you're mean and rude and ugly, you're ugly to me. And I hope you don't take offense to that. I just truly see people who I just don't think that their insides are that nice. I'm like, that's just such a turn off. Like, that's not attractive, So let kindness be who you are. And so I hope that this episode encouraged you. I feel like it was kind of long, but I definitely feel like it was needed. And this is just some of the advice that I would give my younger self. And I really hope that it touched you, encouraged you, and I pray that you guys have the most beautiful day, and that you do know you're loved and seen. And if you feel alone, I hope that you feel less alone after listening to this, because I'm right here with you, and I know exactly what it's like to go through the hard things. Just know you're going to get through it. If God can do it with me, He can do it with you. And don't ever think that He can't do it with you. So I pray this encourages you, and I love you. I pray that you have a beautiful day of peace, and I'll see you guys in my next episode. Bye.